Welcome to Town Talk on News Talk 1230 WFVA, sponsored by Green Line Service Corp. Over the next hour, you'll be introduced to business and local leaders impacting our community. Text your comments or questions directly to the studio at 540-371-5756. Now, the host of Town Talk, Ted Schubel.
FailSafe-ERA in this morning. That means Juanita Shanks is in, and she has brought a guest that we will introduce you to in just a second. But Juanita, it is always great to have you here. Good morning.
Good morning, Ted. It's always good to be here and always good to see you. Thank you for having me again.
You always have such high energy. That's why I like you. You're my high energy guest.
Oh my gosh.
And I like it. So for people who don't know, a little bit about FailSafe-ERA, because you do some great things in the community, and we're going to hear about that today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ted. Yeah, anytime I get an opportunity to talk about FailSafe, I welcome it, because a lot of people still don't know who we are and what we do. Been in this community since 2009, providing reentry support and services to families that have been impacted by incarceration. We're going into the Rappahannock Regional Jail, providing training. We provide resources and training and mental health and housing support, educational opportunities, employment opportunities to the returning citizens once they are released from jail and or prison. And then also we work with the families, because the families are just as equally impacted as their loved ones that committed the offense.
It is you are doing such great things, and the great thing is when you can come in here and we do these shows like we're going to do today, when we talk about success.
Yeah,
and that's the story you have today to talk about.
Absolutely, I think it's so important, right? Because it's been a challenge getting support from our community sometimes because of the work that we do and the clients that we are, and because of our clientele. But the thing of it is, and I say it too many times, 95% of these individuals are going to come home. They're going to be released, and they're coming home from jail and no prison. And the beauty of this thing is that we're in the jail to help, and I am so excited to talk about one of our success stories who's here with us, who actually was in my class in the jail. And that is none other than, she was in my class in the Rappahannock Regional Jail, none other than Miss Tonia Garnett. And I mean, just amazing. What I should have done, I don't know if maybe we need to give you a before and after picture to post.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And you can see the before and after when she was in RJ, and the Tonia that you
Tonia before.
Yes. Okay, everybody can see that, but we can sure take a picture. So that's her on the far left.
It is the far left. It is a remarkable change.
I'll
undoubtedly.
If you had given me this and said, pick out Tonia, and I would look there and say, was she absent that day because I don't see her?
Well, that's an example right there of redemption, recovery. And, I met FailSafe-ERA when I was in Rappahannock Regional Jail over the past year. Well, it's been 2 years at this point since I first met you.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, Ted, unfortunately, I've gone through a life of self-sabotage where over the past 30 years, I've been in and out spurts of jail. And it wasn't until I met FailSafe-ERA in that dark place and entered their interactive journaling program called Courage to Change that I really was able to evaluate, how did I end up here?
Yeah.
And I'd spent my entire life with these hills and valleys, and I would rehearse the things that had happened to me. But ownership of the harm I'd caused hadn't taken place, because the lens I saw life through for many years was a lens of trauma. When I got into the FailSafe program, I started looking at it through a lens of change and a surrender to God in that 6x9.
It's amazing. And every time it just brings tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
Because I just go in that jail and I see her and I see others and the tears in their eyes that they truly want to change, but it's hard. It's just hard sometimes. I don't know, I don't know what the trigger point is and or was, but I'll never forget that day that Tonia walked back into my office after being released, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is this the same person? Is this the same person? Because all I remember is the jumpsuit. Tonia, and the Tonia whose passion she had passion then. Because I hope I'm okay by saying this.
By all means.
We shared same. She lost her daughter while she was incarcerated. And I think.
Well, not while I was incarcerated.
Okay.
I was out.
Okay, well, she was out, but we lost a child.
Yeah.
The same year, as a matter of fact.
Yes, and
wow.
That was something we were able to share. And I think in my introduction of the Courage to Change program, I did talk about losing my son, and I think it hit a nerve.
It did.
And it's just the remarkable change that I see in Tonia, and now she's our peer recovery specialist. She's helping all the other guys and the gals when they're released. And who's a better person for them to listen to than somebody who's been there, right?
Yeah, it's an exciting time at FailSafe having the peer recovery program, because there's something to be said for having someone that's been there, done that, and can walk alongside someone in their journey, and I can share, hey, I struggled with addiction, I struggled with mental health crisis, and I struggled with incarceration. But I'm on the other side of that now. I think of a quote by Henry David Thoreau. It's one of my favorite quotes, so I wanted to share it with you. I took a walk in the woods.
Oh, yeah.
I got to the other side. Yes. I was taller than the trees. And that's how I envision my journey, where I've come, where I've gone.
Yeah, and to be able to do this just because you've been there. Someone can look at you and say, you've done it and you're here now, as opposed to me just saying, oh, don't do that.
Yeah,
we can reach so many more people.
I mean,
I agree. That's why I became a peer recovery specialist. When I was incarcerated the last time, and I really mean the last time, not the last time, but no, the last time. I said to myself then, I'm going to really work on me so that when I walk out those doors, I will immediately hit the ground running, sowing back into the community of support that sowed into my life. So, when I walked into Juanita's office, she was like, oh, you're home, you're out. And I said, you know what? No, I actually was out a year ago in my spirit, in my mind. So the change that took place behind those jail and prison walls. And so I had to see myself released almost 12 months before I actually physically walked out the door.
That's why programs inside the facilities make a difference. We really have to go inside. And I really believe re-entry starts at arrest. You can't wait until somebody's home. Yeah. We have to get to them while they're incarcerated to make a change.
We need to take a break, and we're going to continue on this morning. Good stuff with the FailSafe-ERA. Tonia Garnett is here, and Juanita Shanks. FailSafe-ERA.org if you want to jump online and see what they do. Also, Facebook has all kinds of up-to-date information, too. More with Juanita and Tonia on News Talk 1230 WFVA.
It's the only local talk show in Fredericksburg. Welcome back to Town Talk on News Talk 1230 WFVA. Sponsored by Green Line Service Corp. Subscribe to the Town Talk podcast on your favorite streaming platform to hear Town Talk anytime, 24/7, 365. And now, Ted Schubel.
Good stuff this morning with the FailSafe-ERA. Tonia Garnett is here, a peer recovery specialist. Juanita Shanks is here. What a great story so far. I mean, Juanita, for you especially to have the relationship you do with Tonia, that you saw her at a low point at the Rappahannock Regional Jail.
Yeah. And it's amazing. We were just saying we really should not look like what we've been through. And Tonia is such a perfect example.
Oh, yeah.
Right? When I go into the jails and I see the ladies at some of their lowest points, right? And then when they enter back out into the community and see that smile, that smile that says, I am back, I am human, I am life.
I'm resilient.
I am resilient.
Yes.
I fought back. I am out here. I'm not going to go back. And it just, it warms my heart. Because again, sometimes I wonder, I have to admit, sometimes I wonder if what we're doing is working, or does it matter? Or should we sometimes even still be doing this? I mentioned earlier, yesterday was the 5th year anniversary of my son's passing.
Yeah.
When he passed away that day, January 21st, I wanted to quit then, right? And so sometimes I still go through, I'm just human, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I still go through, nobody really cares. What we're doing is not making a difference. And then, oh boy, here comes another Tonia.
There comes Tonia.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure to tell you, that you could say, oh, Juanita, it makes a difference.
Well, and I'm sure it was divine. It was ordained for me to walk into your office because it's normal. We're human. So it's normal for us to have doubts about what we're doing. Even as I walk alongside people in their recovery, I too have my doubts. And, I've had moments where I've said, God, just, send me a sign, because nobody's commenting on my social media posts. No one's saying, hey, I read this blog today and, or I watched this YouTube video and you inspired me that I too can change. And immediately when I ask for that sign, it always comes. Yeah. But, I will tell you, can I share a story?
Sure.
Okay. So, a lot of times when I meet people, I will let them know one of the most impactful things that happened to me in the last 5 years, where my life began to spiral out of control, is I was shot and left for dead. So on July 4th, 2021, I was the victim of a shooting in the city of Fredericksburg. A bullet struck my shoulder, went through my neck. You can see the scar here. Yeah. Your listeners can't, but you can. And that wasn't enough. I was shot again, and that one went through the hand. And my life forever changed at that point. It didn't, get better. It actually began to spiral out of control, but that impacted me in a way to say, wow, how quickly your life can be snatched from you. And, for me, that experience of trauma didn't end there. A month and 4 days later, my daughter was killed in a head-on collision. She was 29. She was my best friend. But I want to share this. There's a miracle in every moment of trauma. A lot of times you can't see it. But for me, the miracle in the moment is my husband and I are raising my 6-year-old grandson. He is awesome, Tavari, and he was 2 at the time of that accident. He was in that vehicle when she was killed. And every inch of that vehicle was damaged and messed up, except the door where he was. So people that heard the accident came running out, and they were able to grab that baby and console him. So, I share that story not to say, oh, woe is me, these things happen to me. But I share it because what I found in peer recovery and when I was incarcerated, women in there, they have been through storms. They struggle with trauma that they've experienced from childhood through adulthood, grief, addiction issues, mental health issues. And, I don't like the fact that sometimes we criminalize in society addiction and mental health issues. And sometimes the police that do their job well are in a tough position when someone is in a crisis, they're using something, and the police are called in or 911 is called. And our proud men and women in uniform have to make a decision. What do I do at that point? They want to give people help. They're not looking, they're looking to have a safe community, but they're not looking to take someone in crisis to jail. But they haven't always had options. I'll mention the RACSB's opening of their crisis center. It's going to open here in 2026. Yeah. So our, like I said, our men and women in uniform, they are already trained on, crisis issues, but now they're going to have options that they haven't had in the past. And so I look at all these things, things that occurred in my life, what was the trajectory I took, and where were the pivotal changes I made. And support is where I made a pivotal change. That's where FailSafe-ERA came in. Having that support makes a difference. And I've given the statistical numbers to you before.
Yeah, you know what? I agree. I thank you for that, Tonia. But here's the other thing I say. But you made the change. right?
Yeah, at some point, you had to decide.
Made a decision that you wanted to change.
Yeah. I guess you would say I hit rock bottom, and rock bottom is different for everyone.
Yeah, it is.
But what rock bottom for sure is the moment where you examine your life and decide there is no other option but to change. There's no other option.
But
That's
what
rock
I
bottom.
love. That's what I love about the program. It's to change companies, to interactive courage to change, interactive journaling, because it really does. It really does make you think about your attitude, your behavior, your thought processes, and how can you change those things. It was written by some probation officers, but it talks about your social values, self-control, responsible thinking. It is a good program, but it really has to meet you. It's like an intersect. You have to be ready. You have to also be ready. It helps you to start thinking. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
It's a restorative justice program because it really lets you examine the things that you've walked through, but how do you use those things to now as a stepping stone to get to your next level in life. But first you have to take ownership and accountability. What brought you there? You didn't get there by chance. Something brought you there.
Yeah, you know what? And I'm grateful. We're really grateful that, the superintendent of the jail allowed this class in there, because it is making an impact.
Yeah.
And so
It is.
It's really important that we are doing this. So
And so many people want it.
Yeah.
We don't have enough instructors, and I guess that's a funding thing. I can't talk about that. I'm not on that level, but what I can say is experientially, when a sign-up sheet would come into the pod of the jail, 4 sheets ended up getting taped to that wall where the sign-up sheet was. And there's just not enough instructors in the jail.
Isn't that interesting from your, being someone that was on the inside and benefited from that?
Absolutely.
And to know that there's not, and that's got to be heartbreaking. That
It is.
that there are people that are looking for answers, and that's why Juanita is so important, and why funding for FailSafe is so important.
Very.
To be able to, you were there for Tonia.
Yeah, and so, but we need more. We need more facilitators, and especially we have increased our footprint. We now have 6 facilitators. They're all guys. I have no females that are going into the jail, and there's at least a couple hundred women in there.
Yes.
That want this training, that need this training just as much as the guys. So if you are listening and you are willing to help, we need you to go into the jail to help facilitate this class, because it makes a difference. It will create more Tanyas in our community.
Absolutely. When I was in there, because there was only one female instructor, the math doesn't lie. 8% got an opportunity to go. That's it, 8%.
Yeah.
Now, if we want crime to be lowered, we want recidivism to change in this community, well, then there is one thematic, consistent thing with everybody that brought them there, and that is their mind has to change. Behavior does not change until you change your mind. And this program helps you change your mind. And I'm glad that we have the classes outside the jail as well.
Yeah.
So when a returning citizen, comes to our program as a client after they've come home, then they can be connected into our weekly classes.
And that's on every Tuesday evenings.
Yes.
Over at the Old Greenwich at Christian Brothers and Sisters Transition Program. Same program in the community. And it truly, again, continues to make an impact, makes a difference. I could have guys and girls lined up outside this door that can tell you the impact that this program makes on their lives. But we cannot do it. And we don't charge our clients anything. But we cannot do it without funding.
Yeah.
We got to have the funding.
And people that want to get involved in, to be facilitators and to lead the classes. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. It's a lot.
Boy, but Juanita, what a great story to show that even if, as you go in and when you said, sometimes you wonder.
Yeah.
But then you see a Tonia story.
Yep.
And, you just never know.
Confirmation that, yes, we're making a difference.
And then the afterwards, just because after you made the decision, Tonia, but then that had to be made. But then there's just so many changes in your life, and having to probably even move away from people or things that brought you down in the past.
Absolutely. I mentioned, Ted, that I struggled with addiction.
Yeah.
So one of the very first things I had to do was change my phone number, because changing your circle that's around you requires you to change your contact information, not involve those people in your life in any way, shape, or form, and to build a new circle. And I created this unique way. I don't know if we got to go to break yet or not, but I created this unique way to create a new circle in my life. And I call it my life board of directors. Just like a corporation has the CEO, a COO. So I have created a board of directors in my life that believes in the change I've made and my God-given purpose to use my voice and my story to bring hope and inspiration to others that they can change too.
Amazing, right?
What a great idea. Yeah, and I never thought it'd be
amazing.
Just, like you say, but changing your contacts, changing your phone number.
And creating a board of directors. You hear most people say, get a mentor, get a coach. She has a whole board of
directors. Yeah. I mean, everybody should have that.
Yeah. Yes.
It's not a bad idea for all of us.
I know. I write about this in my book. Ted, I've got a book coming out. It'll be released. It'll actually be physically in hand in March 1st. Yeah. And it's called Enough is Enough. I Won't Be a Statistic.
I mean, it's so exciting. I'm like right now, I'm like a mom. Like
she is.
I'm like a mom that's so proud because
you should
be. My gosh. I listen to her. She has a blog, Tonia Talks.
Tonia Talks Now.
Tonia Talks Now. She's just inspiring so many people. I'm looking forward to that book getting released. I'm looking forward to having her at other speaking engagements, so people might be listening and they might want to, unfortunately, the world loves bad news. People love to hear people, bad stories or whatever.
Yeah.
But that message gives hope to somebody. Mm-hmm. So what she went through is going to give hope to somebody else. In your book, in Tonia Talk Now, in your blog, and in the Ted Schubel Show.
No, this is great. This is such great stuff. Tonia Garnett is here. Juanita Shanks is here. FailSafe-ERA. Our focus, failsafe-era.org. More on News Talk 1230 WFVA. It's 831.
From the Fredericksburg FreePress.com studios, this is News Talk 1230 WFVA Fredericksburg, a Centennial Broadcasting station. This is Town Talk on News Talk 1230 WFVA, sponsored by Green Line Service Corp. You can access all episodes of Town Talk online at newstalk1230.net or on your favorite podcast streaming platform. Now, back to your host, Ted Schubel.
FailSafe-ERA in this morning. Juanita Shanks is here. Tonia Garrett is here talking great stories. And Tonia, thank you again for coming in and sharing your story and just the hope that you never know who hears these kinds of things and thinks, you know what, no matter what you are, where you are in life right now, there's just something to be learned. And can't wait for your book to come out. And before that, when that comes out, we'll have you in and we'll talk more about your book. But it's great to have you here, Juanita. It's always good to have you here.
It's always good to be here.
It's always a good day. One of the things that we talked about last spring and last summer, sound the alarm.
Yes.
FailSafe was on the front lines of that, and really, when all of that happened at Old Greenwich, and when there were some killings and just some bad things happening, you sounded the alarm and you haven't stopped.
We can't stop. Right? It's not over. And so, yes, we are still sounding the alarm on youth violence. It's been a little quiet because we're kind of regrouping, but, excuse me, but we have, last Saturday, we did a launch of our Youth Empowerment Initiative under Sounding the Alarm, where we're partnering with Gary Holland, Acting Up. We met at Zion Church of Fredericksburg. We had about 50 families that signed up so that we can continue to sound the alarm on youth violence. A part of sounding the alarm on youth violence is to help our youth. The bottom line is we need to prevent our youth from becoming statistic,
right,
and also from
preventing generations of incarceration.
Preventing generations of incarceration. And I don't want them in our program. I do not want our youth in our Right Road to Reentry program. And so we're sounding the alarm on youth violence so that we can prevent generations of incarceration, so that we can help our youth to understand that there's a better way for them in life. We have several focus areas. Here, let me just say this. First of all, what has helped us to be able to launch our youth empowerment initiative under the Sounding the Alarm program is we were awarded the grant by the Community Foundation and Amazon. And so that has allowed us to move forward now with Sounding the Alarm. Sounding the Alarm isn't an initiative under FailSafe, but it is, again, requires funding, right? So it's hard for us to get a lot of things done without funding. But through this grant, we were able to not only launch the Youth Empowerment Initiative, but we're also now going to be launching 4 quarterly family roundtable discussions. So again, the focus is going to be on youth empowerment, keeping our youth out of the streets, keeping our youth out of trouble, and then helping the families to kind of walk through what it's like to have a healthy family, because the families they're struggling, right? Many times the youth are making decisions that the family members probably should be making. And so we want to help the adult family members, help them to understand that they're not walking this walk by themselves. I don't know if you all went through what I went through as a kid growing up. It was a community that raised us. It was not just mom and dad, although I lost my dad at a young age. But I had a Miss Jessie who would, my mom would go to work and she would watch us from her house. And she would tell everything we did.
You need people like that.
We do.
You do.
We need community.
It takes a village, but where has that village gone?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so for me, sounding the alarm on youth violence was it's not even just an initiative. It is a change in our community where we're going to make an impact in Planning District 16. And it is not just FailSafe. It's a community thing. We have law enforcement, we have mental health, we have the other youth organizations that's working right alongside of us. So on the 5th of February, we'll be recognized along with other nonprofit organizations for being awarded the grant for sounding the alarm. But we have coming up on January 31st is going to be our first. We launched Youth Empowerment this past Saturday. January 31st is going to be our first program for the youth, and that's going to be on conflict resolution and anger management. And the program that we're using is called the BEAT program, which was created by I hate the word prisoner, but by an inmate in the prison. But he created this program to prevent generations of incarceration. This gentleman is spending basically his entire life in prison. And so he put together this pamphlet that talks about how to change your attitude so that you don't be like me. And so we're going to use that to help these kids understand anger management, conflict resolution. What we're learning is that these kids are so angry. I don't know what it is or why, but kids today are so angry. There is so much pain, it seems like, in the kids. There's so much trauma. Again, we're preventing generations of incarceration. Some of our kids their dads are gone. In some cases, dad and mom's gone, or mom is gone. Brothers, sisters are gone. So right now, these kids, when you think about those young men that were walking down the street in Old Greenwich with those assault weapons, how? Where?
Yeah.
How could this even happen? Some people say, where was mom and dad? Well, sometimes mom and dad, they're doing the best they can. And then something still happens. This is where the community comes in. And that's where sounding the alarm comes in. That we're coming in as a community to help our families to live again. We have the
That's
roundtable discussions.
Yeah, you want me to hit on some of that?
Yeah, talk about that.
So that's why we're using a portion of that grant to work with the families. Family roundtable discussions. We're creating an environment that's supportive for the youth. So as she spoke about the event happening with the youth on February 5th, where we're talking about conflict resolution, well, on February 7th, we will be working with a group of parents and caregivers, and we'll be talking about understanding the teen brain and having a healthy thought process and how to model that. Because in reality, the teens, they don't do what you tell them to do. They do what they see being done. And if we can model the right behavior around them as adults, in the community, as caregivers, because caregivers are not always the parents. You know, we're all in some ways caregivers for anyone that we can impact their lives. And so, you know, we're using, like I said, the Family Roundtable Discussion Series is a safe environment where families can come together and share their concerns, their challenges, and also their successes. And having not just someone talking at you and teaching a seminar, but you're growing together makes a difference. There's something to be said of the value of experience in the room. Where one falls short, another lifts them up.
Yeah, so, you know, we had to break the cycle. It's the bottom line. We have to help our kids to understand or help to empower them to make back the right decisions. We want a community that's thriving. But it is going to require every one of us, each and every one of us in our community.
Would that also involve then if I see somebody, if I'm concerned about somebody, just to say something or to reach out more than just all of us just waiting for something to happen.
Something.
Because you'd hate to be the person that says, I thought that they always were. They were headed down the wrong path. We'll say something.
I know. You know, excuse me. And I think most kids, it's a cry for help. It's just a cry out for help. And if you just one person cared about them, I think it would make a difference.
Yeah. Boy, isn't that important? That's an important thing to hear.
It really is. You know, just knowing that somebody said something, somebody cared enough to say, how can I help you? What's wrong, little one?
Yes.
You know,
I see you.
Yeah.
I see you.
I was at court with someone, and there's a little kid come in. I don't know, what is this, about 3 feet tall? A little boy. He came into court. He came into the room by himself. And he sat across from us, and I'm like, what are you doing here? He said, I got to go to court. I go,
what? You should be out playing, or
yes,
you know.
Yes, the little one. And I said, are you here by yourself? And then his grandma comes in, and his grandma was with him, and he shared with us that his mom was in prison, and his dad tried to kill him, and oh my goodness, it's a mess. This little boy.
Wow.
And I am thinking, how did this happen? Why is this happening? You know, and what can we all do about it?
Yeah.
I think we all have a responsibility. If we want to see our communities remain safe, then we're all going to have to be a part of it. It's not just a FailSafe issue. It is not just, it's a community issue.
It is. It's time to step up.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's not just us.
Or these family roundtable discussions that you just were talking about, Tonia. If you know that your family needs to take some time and be part of this.
Yes.
Bring your family.
Absolutely. So if someone wants to enroll in this series, they can go to our website at FailSafe-ERA.org and click on the event tab. The Family Roundtable discussions are there. They can just register right there.
Same with the youth program. The families can enroll their kids in the youth empowerment program. We're just making giving an opportunity for our families. Again, I don't want them in our Right Road to Reentry program. So this is all about prevention.
Yeah, I like when you say that. I don't want you in this program because if you're in that program, that means something has happened before. Yeah,
something is wrong. So that's what we're doing on Sounding the Alarm. Again, it is all about prevention. It is all about helping our families, growing our families, giving our families a lifeline.
What is so great about Sounding the Alarm, Juanita, is I remember you telling the story that, you woke up one night and that was in your mind. That you needed to do something, and you followed through on it.
Yeah, it's just that's how God does stuff with me. He's always giving me ideas, like at times when I'm like, "Are you sure? Is this really what you're saying, God? Did you want me to do?" But you woke me up in the middle of the night and said, "Sound the alarm." Those were the words, and then gave me names of individuals to call. One with my pastor, Antoine Gay, the coach. I call him coach, but he's Antoine Gay.
Yeah.
Because it always reminds me of his brother's story, Marvin Gaye's song, Saving Our Children. And so those were the people, and Sergeant Curtis.
With Stafford Sheriff's Office. Yeah.
And we have just been doing this, but it really does require obedience. Sometimes when that little small voice is saying something, we tend to shrug it off as this is me, whatever. But this was real. This was a sound the alarm, but you can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
And so I'm afraid of not being obedient.
Well, the other thing, Juanita, the great thing about FailSafe too is just the wide group that you're able to help. You talk about what you're doing with kids and families in Tonia's story. So it's not as though it's just for one. You're not just dealing with one group.
No, it's
you're
the entire
dealing with
family.
The community.
It's the whole family and the community,
Yeah.
because the goal is to make our community safer. But the entire family is impacted, and that was what happened with me and why we launched FailSafe. Initially it was all about me because of walking through the incarceration process with my son and understanding the hurt, the harm, the roller coaster of emotions that a family member goes through.
Yeah.
Of that initial, this is a collect call from, and then there's the call of I need money on the books, or they don't feed me right, or we're in lockdown for 24 hours. Oh my God. Those things would just weigh on a family member.
Sure.
Yeah, because it's the family that had to pick up the pieces when the person disappeared and was put into the system.
Yeah.
It's that crisis of they're gone now. What do I do? They're no longer here financially, physically, emotionally.
All of that. And so that's when sometimes, when I used to... when I first started going into the jail, I would always meet with the guys because it was something about meeting with the guys that I just wanted to beat up on them. To say, what are you doing? You are supposed to be the head of your family. Why are you making these decisions? Why are you doing the things that you're doing? And it was amazing, and I used to ask them, would you want your son to really follow in your footsteps? And these guys, big old guys, just boo-hoo. Because really and truly, many times the decisions that they made while under the influence. And I love how you say we can't criminalize everything. We can't criminalize substance abuse, mental health.
Yeah.
Some of the decisions that they made, they were under the influence. And when they woke up and they thought, oh my gosh, how did I get here?
So, I shared the story of me being shot. The gentleman that shot me, he is incarcerated. He got 23 years. But forgiveness completely, because listen, I understand his story. He was under the influence of drugs, and he made a snap decision, a split-second decision that changed the trajectory of my life, changed the trajectory of his life. And these are the men and women behind bars. They didn't wake up one day and say, I want to destroy my life and I want to destroy someone else's.
Yeah.
No, it was a process. And it is a process coming out of that too. And that's why this program is so important. When I look at FailSafe, the reason that FailSafe is a premier reentry organization is because they're holistic, because they treat the entire family.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
FailSafe-ERA.org. FailSafe-ERA.org. Juanita Shanks, Tonia Garnett is here this morning. We'll take one final break and conclude on News Talk 1230 WFVA.
Welcome back to Town Talk on News Talk 1230 WFVA, sponsored by Green Line Service Corp. You can weigh in about today's topic on Facebook at WFVA 1230 and by text at 540-371-5756. Here's your host, Ted Schubel.
Juanita Shanks and Tonia Garnett here with a FailSafe-ERA, FailSafe-ERA.org. They are a Fredericksburg area-based organization. Before we get out of here real quick, Second Chance Employment, what's that all about?
Oh, gosh, it's a lot. that's a need that we have. I'll say second chance employers and second chance landlords. These guys and gals, once they are released, they need a job. They need a place to live. This is like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. If we can't meet those basic needs, then unfortunately, sometimes what happens is they wind up right back in the system.
Yeah.
So we need help with employment opportunities. We do have some second chance employers, and we want to shout out to them to say thank you for being a second chance employer, but we need more. And I think Tonia was just saying, you know, they need a purpose. They need a reason for existing.
I can speak from my own experience that when you're coming out, the first thing you need is a purpose in life that keeps you busy and that you know, why am I here and what am I doing and what am I impacting? And when you have a job, it does that. You get up in the morning, whatever shift you work, and you go to that job.
Right.
And it gives you a purpose, and it's so important. And I think, you know, I just want to say, you know, people do not have to be defined by their past. So we need more employers, more landlords to understand that the person standing before them, they made choices in the past, but that's not who they are today.
And they can get bonding. You know, we can get bonding letters for those employers. It's an insurance that says if something happens while they're working with them, that there's an insurance that they it's not a lot, but it is something that says we will.
The state of Virginia.
Yeah, it's through the state of Virginia.
Okay.
That we will compensate whatever ever happens. You know, if there was a theft or something like that took place. So there's a bonding letter. There are skills. I mean, these guys, I've heard too many times, there are so many skills in the prisons and the cemeteries.
Oh, yeah. It's untapped talent, for sure.
Talent. Yeah. And so they have the skill set. They just need the opportunity.
Yeah.
So we just need second chance landlords. We need second chance employers.
We'll have to do a show on that sometime this year because we don't talk about that enough.
Absolutely.
So before we get out of here in the last few minutes, Juanita, you have always a big gala in the spring.
Yeah.
And it's coming up before you know it.
It
It'll
is.
be warm.
We're starting to work on it. So save the date for April 11th. It's going to be at the Holiday Inn. And we have, we're going to be inducting some of our returning citizens into our Hall of Change. We have some wonderful returning citizens that will be inducted. I'm excited about that. We have our keynote speaker we have a couple of individuals that will be speaking on at the gala. Deanna Hoskins is one. She went from the crack house to the White House. So she's a returning citizen, but the first fellow in the White House, returning citizens. And then also we have none other than Michael Second to None, boxer. He's going to also be sharing his story. He's not a Hall of Fame. But these two individuals one is coming from a policy standpoint, and the other one is coming from just a resilient standpoint. One is a boxer, one is policy, but they're going to come out and share also their stories and why it is so important that we are inducting these guys and gals into the Hall of Fame, how that makes these individuals, that gives them they see themselves in a different light, I think. When we induct them into the Hall of Change, they get to take that walk down the red carpet.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're saying that I made it. I had the courage to change, and I am a change agent.
Yes.
You know, and I am no longer who I used to be. I'm who I was designed to be. So
that's right. That's good. Well said.
I just made that up.
It's really good. To call it the Hall of Change, it's what a great name, and it fits so perfectly.
It does, and you know, and they're on our wall. You know, anybody who's ever in our area, 1972 William Street, come and look at the wall. We have all of our agents of change on the wall, and these are guys and gals that had the courage to change. April 11th is our gala. Second Chance Gala, Hall of Change, and Scholarship Program.
FailSafe-ERA.org will get you all the information. Also follow FailSafe on Facebook. Tonia Garnett, thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story, and especially to find out about your book, Enough is Enough.
Yes.
It comes out this spring. And
March 1st.
March 1st. We'll get you in and talk about that and just talk about your story some more in your book and what you hope to accomplish. But what a great story. I mean, you just glow. So it's wonderful to meet you and have you here this morning.
Thank you so much, Ted.
Great stuff. And Juanita, I mean, you continue the topics and the people you bring in. It's the success stories. You're always able to do that. That's the great thing about FailSafe.
Well, we want to continue to do that, Ted. And in order for us to continue to do that, we just need you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Funding.
Number one.
You need funding. You need people to step forward and say, "I want to get involved in this."
Yes.
And
we need financial resources. We need human resources. And we are believing and hoping that Stafford County is going to approve our budget this year.
Talk more about that, too. FailSafe-ERA.org. Tonia Garnett, Juanita Shanks, thank you both so much. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
That's it. Thanks for listening. See you in the morning.
Thanks for listening to Town Talk on News Talk 1230 WFVA, sponsored by Green Line Service Corp. The views expressed by the host and guests on this program are their own and not necessarily those of this station, its management, or Centennial Broadcasting. Hear the show anytime by subscribing to the Town Talk podcast on your favorite streaming platform. The Glenn Beck program is next on News Talk 1230 WFVA.